Okay, I'm going to try this again. Some people were watching earlier, but I realized that my Facebook Live was recording sideways instead of the way I wanted it to be. So you might notice my Texas A&M hat in the background. So I decided today to tie another kind of commemorative fly, and it's going to be, of course, a Texas A&M commemorative fly. Now, I did not go to Texas A&M. I'll go ahead and start with that. But since I was a kid, I've been a fan of A&M, and the only reason I didn't go to A&M, I actually never tried to get in, but I decided on music as my major, and so I ended up choosing Texas State University. But A&M's always been my love as far as schools go. So anyway, so my choice is kind of a bead head nymph, and it's going to be using pheasant tail. I've got a bead on here. I've got olive thread kind of going along with the core's olive drab. And then I've got some stuff that I'm going to use for dubbing that's kind of a maroon. I got it off of a piece of thread. So we'll see how it goes. But anyway, if it turns out bad, it turns out bad. And that's kind of my thing with flies. I always say, sometimes when you tie a fly, you have this amazing thing when you're done, and sometimes when you tie a fly, you end up with a hook with a bunch of crap tied to it. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, so I have pheasant tail. These are two little barbs off of pheasant tail feather. So I'm going to start with tying these in about the length of, well, a little bit shorter than the length of the hook. This is a very small hook, so I'm kind of tight quarters here. Work it right up to the back there and make sure that it's the length I want it. So this kind of hook, or this kind of fly, is meant to be fished below the surface. That's what the bead head helps with. It helps weigh it down some. Okay, I'm going to go in and just kind of fill up this body a little bit more. Build it up some. Put a little bit of thread right there behind the bead so it doesn't bounce around on me. So I'm going to wrap this pheasant tail around to make the body, and I'm going to wrap it until about midway up, about here. So I'm going to take this back a little bit, put it right where I want that to end, and then I'm just going to take this and wrap it around. And this is two little barbs, and so as it wraps around, it fills in those gaps. There are tools you can use to help you hold these things. There are tools that help you hold feathers, and there are tools that help you hold these smaller type things. And I don't have the smaller ones, so I'm just using my fingers. Okay, so I've got a couple of turns there. Okay, and then I'm going to go forward with this. I'm just going to lay it on top of the hook. Sorry for the noise. I've got a new little camera stand here, and I'm not sure if I like this setup because it's kind of in the way. I like the way I had it before, but I do have a much better desk situation here so I can hold my materials. Okay. Now, the next step is going to be the dubbing. So I'm going to use some, I've got bowstring wax for an archery, normally for an archery use. I want to wax the thread. Now, dubbing is taking fine material like this and putting it on the thread, and it almost makes it like yarn. I'm going to take a bunch of this here. It might be a little too much, but then you just web it out. I've shown this before on other videos, but in case you haven't seen it, you just web it out like this, so it makes it kind of flat looking. And then you take the thread and just turn it around the thread, and the wax will grab it, and it will eventually look like yarn a little bit. And again, I've got pretty tight quarters here with my new camera set up. I got to make some adjustments so you can't really see what's happening here. And this dubbing, you can barely tell is actually maroon, but it is maroon. So this is the part of the fly that's kind of the colorful commemorative part. And I'm thinking, since I used such little dubbing, or I'm using such little dubbing here, I might be able to make another fly also. So now I'm just going to wrap this around. Yeah, this is way too much dubbing. Take some of this off. There. It's still a lot, but this will work. So I'm just going to wrap this around and build up. Okay, that's way too much. Take some of that off. Okay, I gotta fix this because I can't work with this camera like this. Give myself some more room. There we go. Much better. Okay, I'll go back and kind of fix this dubbing real quick. So it looks crummy. All right, grab the dubbing again. Get a scant amount this time, because that was way too much. I'm gonna fan it out, or web it out, I mean, like that. I'm gonna wax my thread again. Take this and roll it on. Get it nice and skinny on the thread. Okay. So I'm just going to build the thorax here. Okay, that's all I need. Take the rest off. Got a good build there. Pulling my fly on my vise. Okay. I'm going to take this, pull it forward. It's going to be like a wing casing here. split these. A couple of turns. Snip this off. Okay. Take my head cement or fingernail polish. Go right in here where these knots were. Just put a little bit behind the bead. I'm going to do my tie off here. And that's it. Okay. So that is the, I'll call it the Hullabaloo bead head. How about that? Little Texas A&M commemorative fly. Pretty simple. Little fly. Tie it on. It'll sink down. Fish will eat it. That kind of thing. It's kind of the way it works. So anyway, so that's my little Texas A&M commemorative fly. I hope you like it. And I might tie another one since I still have some dubbing left and do a little more generic maroon and white. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you guys.